Hi, my name's Rowan Harris and I'm a principal.
And I'm Jacqueline Vung and I'm a lawyer, and we both work together at Russell Kennedy. This video looks at the key legal issues that you need to be aware of when starting a direct selling business in Australia. We'll cover important topics like choosing the right business structure, setting up effective processes and relationships, and understanding the legal requirements in the early stages. These insights are helpful for new local businesses and foreign companies thinking about expanding into the Australian market. The first key legal point you need to be aware of is business structure and registrations. You need to choose the right legal structure for your business. A sole trader business structure is the simplest and cheapest type of business setup, but it's not always the best if you're looking to establish something for the longer term. A private or proprietary limited company is typically the most suitable type of entity. To set up a company in Australia, you'll need to select your directors, choose a name and register that name with ASIC. You'll also need to apply for an ABN and TFN and register for GST if needed. This can be done by yourself or it can be done by us. Once done, you should set up a record-keeping system, understand your legal obligations as a director, and ensure all office holders consent to their roles. Finally, you can complete the registration process online through the Business Registration Service or directly with ASIC. If a company is owned by a foreign entity and wants to operate in Australia, the process also involves appointing at least one local Australian resident director. You'll need to ensure that the directors understand their legal responsibilities and consent to their roles. Additionally, all directors must apply for a director identification number. This is a unique identifier that helps prevent the use of false or fraudulent director identities. Sole traders and Pty Ltd companies have different legal, tax and reporting obligations. When considering the limitation of liability, it's important to understand how you want to manage your risk. As a sole trader, you are personally liable for all financial and tax debts. In contrast, a company is generally liable for its business debts, but your personal assets can still be at risk if you're a director and the company cannot pay its debts. When setting up a company in Australia, consider the corporate tax rate. You'll also need to register for GST if your turnover is $75,000 or more. You'll also need to be aware of fringe benefits tax, payroll tax, and pay-as-you-go withholding for your employees. You'll need to ensure that you make superannuation contributions and maintain accurate financial records to stay compliant with your tax obligations. If the company is foreign-owned, you'll also need to comply with international tax agreements, and you may need to pay taxes on your Australian source income. A question we get asked a lot is whether you need a license to run a direct selling business in Australia. The good news is that you don't, but you must comply with various regulations depending on the products that you sell. For example, if you're selling food, therapeutic goods or cosmetics, you'll need to adhere to specific regulations for these product lines.
The second thing you need to be aware of is building relationships and processes. It is important that you build relationships and connect with the right people and organisations in order to successfully start and grow your business. We've been working in the industry for a long time and we can help you do this. Some of the critical relationships that we've developed include with Direct Selling Australia, product fulfilment and logistics experts, regulatory experts for food standards and TGA, and tax experts.
The last thing that's important for you to know is some of the key data and regulatory considerations. The direct selling industry in Australia is heavily regulated due to its consumer-based nature and the types of products that are marketed. This sector attracts significant scrutiny from various consumer regulatory bodies to ensure compliance and also to protect the consumers. Key regulators include the ACCC, which enforces the Australian Consumer Law, FSANZ for food standards, the OAIC for privacy and freedom of information, as well as the TGA for therapeutic goods. Another key regulator is the DSA, which is the National Industry Association for Direct Selling, and they enforce the Direct Selling Code of Practice. Another reason it is important to join the DSA are the connections to other organisations in the same industry and also the access to helpful information, such as the Legal Compliance and Risk Management Guide, which is something that we've co-authored. An updated version of this is due to be published this year, and to give you a bit of context of how much compliance there is, we've cited over 38 pieces of legislation in it. Because the direct selling business model operates via independent contractors, it also attracts an additional level of scrutiny from regulatory bodies such as the Australian Tax Office, the Revenue Officers, and the Fair Trading Officers in each state. Because each state has different pieces of legislation, it is also important to understand the nuances in each state and territory, and this is something that we often give advice on. When creating a compensation plan for a direct selling business, it's crucial to ensure that it focuses on the legitimate sale of products and services rather than recruitment incentives. This helps avoid illegal pyramid schemes and ensures that the plan is legal. Advertising and consumer protection are other important areas to be aware of. Generally, we suggest that you avoid misleading and deceptive conduct, especially for cosmetics, food, beverages, and therapeutic goods. There are also privacy laws which govern the collection, use, storage, and disclosure of personal information, and they're undergoing reform this year.
So the key takeaways for starting a direct selling business in Australia include choosing the right business structure, building relationships with key organisations such as Direct Selling Australia, and fulfilment and regulatory experts, and understanding the legal and regulatory requirements that affect your business. You should also ensure your compensation plan focuses on product sales and less on recruiting. Avoid misleading advertising and stay updated on privacy laws. These insights are crucial for both new local businesses and foreign companies expanding into the Australian market. Start your direct selling business in Australia with confidence. You can now download our Key Legal Things to Remember checklist. And please don't hesitate to contact us if you need any advice or have any questions. We're ready to help you with your legal needs.